This is Moments with Foo with James Foo Torres, better known as Foo, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Moments with Foo is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Foo.
Hello and welcome to Moments with Foo. I'm your host, James Foo Torres, but you can call me Foo, hence the name of the podcast. And today I have the Richard Friesen, and he is the founder of Mind Muscles Academy. And I'm going to let him tell you more about that. But first, Richard, how are you?
I am doing just fine. Had the grandkids over yesterday, a big meal. It was so great to have the family around, and I'm really looking forward to a creative conversation because I know you're going to ask the tough questions. Those are sometimes the best.
Yeah, the idea of this is to ask questions that will get you in a position to give value to the audience, right? That's the main thing that we're trying to do here. Is not just, hey, look at me because I'm so great. It's more to describe the journey, right? And with the purpose of adding value. So
excellent.
With that being said, let's just give a quick introduction to the audience about yourself and your company.
Okay, I'm Richard Friesen. I'm the author of A Private Conversation with Money. And how I got here was through the financial markets. I'm a former therapist, dropped into the financial markets. And what I noticed was that people's success, of the traders I hired, of the entrepreneurs that I've been coaching, is mindset, belief systems, and even down to their core identity and how they value themselves. That those things sometimes can be like an anchor or a driving limitation. So I'm looking forward to digging down deeper rather than just symptoms around entrepreneurships or what you do, but looking at some of the deeper drivers today.
Yeah, for me, my take on this is, and I've seen this around, and obviously it's like an arbitrary number, but if we were to estimate, about 80% of entrepreneurship and creating something is mindset. It's really just believing in yourself. It's not wanting something, it's believing it, believing that you can actually achieve it. Because wanting doesn't get you anywhere. Like, it's not, oh, I want this. No, but visualize it, create a plan for it, and take action. So mindset is what stops most things. A lot of times we know what to do. We just let other things stop us from doing it. So
yeah, and those other things and those processes, that's where if we can bring them to awareness, we can accept them without judgment, then we can ask, okay, I have this process. That's interesting. It was created with a positive intent. And now what do I want? And once we get to that question from awareness, acceptance, and we can ask what we want, then it's easier to move forward.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I want to go now, segue with that to my next point, my next question, which I like to ask about, what are you focusing on right now and why? Because, there's so many entrepreneurs and business owners that even you can be in the same industry, but you as a CEO are focusing on different things, or as a founder. So what are you focusing on right now and why?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier before the show, is that I'm financially secure. I don't have to worry about making money. But what I really care about is making the world a better place, even if I can move the needle just a little bit, because I have kids and grandkids, and I want them to have the same experience that I've had in the world. I was born in 1947, so I'm one of the early baby boomers. And it was a tough time in some ways, but it was magical in others. And I'm seeing a lot of mindset and belief systems that are creating cultural conflicts, that we don't have the same enthusiasm for both business, life, delivering value to others, and being successful. There's just a lot of guilt. There's a lot of conflicts. There's a lot of different systems between outcomes and processes that that makes it difficult for the younger people these days to just be balls out or full out and go for what they want. And how do you do that? A lot of our educational system is outcome based and not process based. So there's just a lot of places we can go to really give people an invitation to open new doors to their life that not only feel better, honor their values, but get them to their goals.
Yeah. I'm glad that you're focusing in on that, because it's such a good place to be, in my opinion, and that's what I'm striving for. Right now, I've been doing this for 2.5 years, and I'm in that grind mode still, right? But the idea of it is to build a 10-year career that, like, then I'm financially free, and then I can focus way more on impact. I still focus on impact while doing it, right? It's a big focus, but I cannot wait really to operate from a place of, oh, I'm financially free. Now I can do these things, right? Like, I'm still building so much, right? That and I'm young, right? And I've just been doing it for 2.5 years, so I know that this is my season right now. Like, this is this season, and then I'll move into other seasons, right? So
yeah, to everything turn. There is a season. You know, the old song from the 60s. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jason Miller, the CEO of Sajiga Advisory Board, he always tells me that, like, every single time, remember, like, all these challenges is just a season, and then after you'll have another season, and then there'll be different with all their challenges. Like he was telling me, like, look, my challenges are like a lot different, but I still have challenges. I'm still in my own season, right? It's different. So it's just surviving season by season, that, right, and doing the best you can every day, and that's big on mindset. So that's why, we're touching on this point. So my next question is, do you have any advice to business owners in general, or to your younger self, if you were to restart your journey, what you know right now?
Oh my gosh. Oh, holy mackerel. Well, if I look at, oh boy, there's just a million ways we can go with this, but let me look at it from a limitation point of view. When I grew up, my mom was mostly depressed, not getting along well with my dad. My dad was a narcissist, gone a lot. I never got much attention. So as a result, I created a belief system about myself. And I learned to my survival mechanism was to kind of just hunker down and be self-sufficient. And as a result, if I look at my limitations now, and as I grew up, is the challenges of building teamwork, of building larger organizations, because my natural just psychological responses is to just do everything myself. And, it's worked out okay for me. And if I could give myself some advice, it would be to become aware of that hole in my heart, the part that I'm missing, and learn how to get what I needed in life and not just retreat to that survival mechanism. Now, that is more of a deeper psychological, framework. If there was more business or entrepreneurial advice, is to not be so afraid of mistakes, to be able to just go out and get it. If I looked at my family of upbringing, there was no investments, there was no real estate, we were lower middle class and then middle class for a while. And I didn't in my context, becoming an investor or buying real estate, it wasn't even my world. That's something that somebody out there did. So, opening myself to a lot more possibilities, and then having the identity and the belief in myself to go ahead and pursue them and take risks and make mistakes.
That's such a great advice. I love doing this podcast because it not only is good for like the audience, and it's also like I use it to learn for myself, and those are things that are things that I have in mind, but the reminders are never bad, right? And because that's one thing about just learning things. If you don't keep bringing them back, if you don't remember them and applying them and think about it and say it to
Hmm.
yourself, ask it to yourself, then it's just, well, it's just wasted potential, right? Like, what does it matter if it's somewhere in here that you can access it if you want to or something, right? Like, but then if you
Hmm.
don't access it for long enough, you forget. So that's why it's so important, because making emphasis on these points, because there's a pattern in here of everybody that I come here, and they all talk about similar things, because what it takes is, like I said earlier, like my 80% mindset, then just actually doing, not having limiting beliefs, being even open to fail and to stand up and to do it again, right? And all those different things that might be scary at times, right?
Hmm.
Taking risk, but it's the way to learn and to grow. If you're not taking risk, if you don't have fear of what you're doing, that means that you are in a comfort zone. So you're not growing in that comfort zone. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, and one of the issues today, as we mentioned earlier, is our cultural conflicts. What has surprised me is the power of peer groups in our family. And as I've done some deeper work with some of my clients, they are willing to step in a whole new context of their identity, their beliefs, their behaviors. But when they do that, they leave a community, a whole belief system behind. And for them, the risk of that is so great, it's really difficult to step out of that. So if you're into a limited growth mindset or a group, if you're in a group that is, I just lost the word, is critical of wealth and success, that if you're in a group that is afraid that money corrupts and the money is the root of evil, if you're in a group that social justice is more important than individual initiative and liberty, then if you are ready to step into a different belief system, that's not trivial. I mean, to leave people who you're comfortable with and love and who support you, and to have a different way of life and a different opinion. And if you're an entrepreneur, by God, you need to see things that others don't see. You need to, you look at Elon Musk as an example of somebody who sees the world, or you look at Steve Jobs, or people who are able to step into a future that doesn't even exist yet. So if we're talking about entrepreneurs, stepping out of that comfort zone and that community and that support is not trivial. And that's one of the things I work with my clients.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to get out of an environment. It's just change, especially a drastic change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shaking yourself to the core. That's tough. I mean, just
Bingo.
talking about personal experience. I had a decent upbringing. I can't complain much. There was a little bit of, I was raised with women, and then my mom, she has like a lot of emotion. She responds with a lot of emotion on everything, and that's what I've learned. Right now that I'm in business specifically, because when I was growing up in college and everything, it's not the same. Like, you can get by not by avoiding a lot of things. But
Mm-hmm.
when you are in business, you're trying to raise a business, you're trying to hire people, grow something, you can't just ignore a lot of things. Like, there's just, you have to deal with a lot of things of yourselves so you can be able to manage others and to be in the right mindset to be able to succeed. So now that I'm being in this journey, I've learned that basically there's no business problems. There is personal problems, mindset problems that go into the business. And I've been working a lot on prioritizing on being the best version of myself that I can possibly be,
Mm-hmm.
and taking advice from people that I respect, that I know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to be like, I'm set on my old ways. I'm just like this, right? Like, I never want to be like that. And it's hard to break through that core, right? What I am, and be my authentic self, but having some filters, not by lying myself and faking it, but to actually fix on how I communicate and to communicate more efficiently, to not act on emotions and all those different things that could become a problem then in business, for clients, for employees,
Mhm.
all those different things. So that is that's a big priority for me. So
Mhm.
that's why, like, it's your, I think you're right on the money with this. Is very timely, especially now that everybody's just entrepreneur and everything, because economy, things happening, COVID, all these different things. So very relevant. So
It is. So the question then becomes, what is your relationship to money? And this is where I focus on. And if we look at your upbringing, the emotional part of it, if we look at people who grew up in a world where money was the root of evil, or you grew up with parents that just spent money, went into debt, maybe went bankrupt, or if you grew up in a family where everyone saved everything and money was so tight you couldn't do anything with it, all those are internalized. And now you're an entrepreneur, you're a business person, you're a young man or woman who wants to expand to the world. We still have those internal messages, and they may be subconscious. So what I do is I have an exercise called the Golden Keys. And the Golden Keys, as I mentioned, are first awareness. And a lot of that is physiological. These belief systems implant themselves in our entire physiological structure. So we look at physiology, and what you talked about was emotions. We look at what our emotional responses are, and then we look at the quality of our thoughts. Are we judgmental? Are we accepting? Are we in gratitude? I like one of the exercises I do is I have people get a big jar and put a buck in it every time they have a self-judgmental thought. When I started that, it was $50 the first day. Oh my gosh, I had no idea of just the movies I was playing in my head. So awareness, acceptance of what we discover. And then what we can do is from that point is ask, what do I want now? And once we get to that point, then we can start laying out what you talked about, a vision for the future. Another exercise I do is, of vision boards where you put on the car, the mansion, the trophy spouse, the
all
whole
your dreams,
bit.
right?
Yeah, all the dreams. But the vision board at a private conversation with money, an exercise in the book, is you put value you are delivering to others. So at the end of the vision board is, what value am I delivering? Then we work backwards. What knowledge do I need? What skills do I need? How do I communicate the value I'm delivering? Well, now we're really getting into building something where we're delivering value. And you hinted to this earlier, is that our success comes when we deliver value and we receive what I call certificates of appreciation. When I deliver value to you, Foo, and you hand me not money, but certificates of appreciation, I can look at those and say, this is a measure of value that I've delivered. So one of the problems that a lot of anti-wealth people have is that they look at this as a one pie model, and that person who has wealth that means somebody else are taking it and somebody else has less. But if we look at money as a certificate of appreciation, there's no end of value that we can deliver to others. And here's the surprise. And a lot of people are going to go, oh, no. The more certificates of appreciation we have by delivering value honestly to people, the more we have done for the world. That is such a radical reframe from wealth and money are evil.
Yeah, I completely agree. And for me, it's something that I also like, being getting coaching, being educating with just content, with just conversations like this one,
Mm-hmm.
that money is just it's a tool, right? And I always know it. It's the fact that even though I have it in my mind, I feel like my subconscious sometimes it's like still too attached to the fact that money equals survival type stuff, right? Because
Yeah,
that is, I mean, no money, no survival in a way, right?
right,
So
right.
so even though like I can label it and I can know what it is, it's still tough, right? To completely let go of worry or different like negative thoughts, let's say, of money, because even though like money's not evil itself or anything, or there's nothing supposed to
Mhm.
be bad about it, it's the fact that it's like it's the main certificate of value, right? Like you can tell people, you can, hey, I can help you with other ways, but people want money, right? And then also like, you know, you got to pay your bills, you got to pay money, right? Those things, it's there's this like, I need the money to survive, but then life shouldn't be just about getting money to survive, right? And that's like the constant thing that I have and a lot of people have, right? And I've gotten to a point that I just I'm just leading with value, just adding as much value as I can and just doing the best that I can every day. And then just let it, the rest is like, it's not like I'm just not gonna complete like money. I'm still want that certificate of value. But look, if I do as best as I can every day, that's as best as I can do, period. Right? Because it doesn't get better than that. So that's my
Yeah,
mindset.
yeah. Well, what you're bringing up, you just machine gunned a whole bunch of issues that are going to almost touch everybody. If like money is survival, then I need to hoard it. If somebody else has more, oh my gosh, do they deserve it? They're taking survival away from me. Oh no. So, we have these very deep emotional responses, and I'm so glad you were honest and open enough to bring those up. So if those are emotionally how we attach to money, that means, are we going to be able to deliver more value, see more opportunities, see the reality the way it is, or through that emotional lens, is that going to cloud our options and our choices in our life? And I'm so glad you brought up all those issues and the conflicts, because you're touching on the conflicts that so many other people have. So thank you.
Thanks for putting myself in the situation too, right? That's the beauty about doing this podcast is having a conversation with somebody, with experts, right? Like, and I have my expertise on PR, right? And I, every time that we mention something about PR, I come in and I mention my expertise. We're talking about mindset. You can bring your expertise. We bounce ideas of each other. And the word of this podcast for me, I guess, or not this specific episodes, but just seems to be the word of the whole episodes, is perspective. Perspective is the word that I've been using a lot to describe one of the biggest benefits of this, because we can talk about this and then I give you perspective, you give me perspective. Also, the people that are listening to this, they get perspective. They're like, damn, like I never looked at it that way, or I didn't think that I could get out of it that easy or something, right? Like there's so many like challenges and advice and sharing here that it's just perspective. People have come here and tell me, I lost $100,000 and just grinded my way up and then got out of it, right? And it was just all a mindset thing. Like he just decided that I'm gonna send 15 proposals every day and I'm gonna just do it until I get out of it, and he did, right? And that's that's perspective. So thanks for giving us perspective.
Well, you're very welcome. Your term perspective is really important. Now, well, have a different word for it. I have a context. And the context is our identity, our beliefs, our behaviors, the knowledge we have and the skills we have. And that is a context. So one of the valuable things about knowing what context you're in is that you can choose. For example, I grew up an evangelical Christian. When I go to church in that context, I know the hymns, I know when to stand up, when to sit down, I know how to greet people. It's a context I can easily step into. or if I'm at a raucous dinner party. And I know that that's a different context. So the perspective you're talking about is, what if we were aware in real time of what perspective or context we're in? What if we can then be really good in that context? But that's not our only context. One of the limitations that a lot of people have and entrepreneurs have is they have just one context and they don't know how to step out of it into other contexts. So can we match the context we're in with other contexts? And that's a real skill. And that's one of the things that I work with my online groups and my clients.
Awesome. So, thanks, Richard, for doing this episode. It's been very valuable. I got my gears turning, and I think that we had some good back and forth in here, and it was pretty good. So, I just I know that there's gonna be some people that are gonna be, look, he's very articulated, like he seems to know about mindset. Can't wait to talk to him. So, how can people find you?
Yeah, you can go to conversations.money/Foo, Foo. And there we have access to the book, to the free online course, to groups if you want to meet for support, and you can learn more there. Or you can always just email me, rich@mindmuscles.com. And I love to hear from people. I like to give feedback. There's just so many ways that we can move forward in life and open the options and increase our menus on life choices. And I just love to invite people to that context.
Thank you for that. I love that word now, like the context, right? It has a different meaning for me now, right? And it's cool. And thanks again, for taking the time to come here. We only have so many hours, and for you to come here, take the time to talk to me and add value to my audience means a lot to me, and I appreciate it.
Okay, Foo, I look forward to continuing a great relationship.
Yeah, same here. So this was Richard and Foo, and this is us signing off.
Thanks for listening to Moments with Foo with your host, Foo. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.